earlier today, we got the very highly anticipated first look at Henry Cavill as Superman. He'll be playing Superman in the Zack Snyder directed reboot, which is going to be releasing in summer 2013. The reason I've been looking forward to this for so long is that we were just getting the sense that Chris Nolan had really come up with a very different story for this, and that that really got Zack Snyder's attention, and that we were going to finally see a really different, more modern take on Superman. And so I was curious to see, is the costume, are they going to really try to reinvent the costume? What's it going to look like? And my first thought when I saw this was, I was a little disappointed, because I was just thinking, it doesn't look that different from the traditional Superman costume. I was expecting more of a departure from this. Looking at it a little bit more, I overall do like the costume though. So let's just kind of take a look at some of the details here. The first thing I think that jumped out at me, of course, was the S shield. It looks, it's still very recognizably your famous Superman S shield. But there's something about it I don't like. It just looks a little bit sloppy to me. Maybe when I see this on film and see it in the context of what the overall design of the movie is going to be, I won't mind it, because that could go for this entire costume. This is just a heavily photoshopped picture. Once you see it in the film, with the lights and the special effects and everything, who knows how you might feel. But the S shield, it almost looks like something a 6-year-old drew, like a 6-year-old who wanted to dress up in a Superman costume, just sort of doodled. Obviously, it's 3D, and a 6-year-old couldn't do that. But I'm just saying that the design of it almost looks a little bit sloppy somehow. So I'm not a huge fan of the S shield. Not a huge deal, but not really a big fan of it. I think the other thing I noticed was the material the suit seems to be made of. It's kind of hard to tell what it's made of. My first thought was almost like some kind of alligator skin was what I thought at first. I'm not saying it's made of that, but that's kind of what it made me think of. Or it made me think of a basketball too, the material. Or I wonder if they're trying to suggest that it's maybe some kind of light metal almost. And I just think of that because this is my favorite aspect of this new costume, because my biggest issue with previous Superman costumes in movies has been that they never look like they came from Krypton. In the mythology, the Superman costume, the material for it was made from a material from Krypton, something alien, or look like something where we weren't familiar with. It just looked a little bit strange, like something we didn't really know exactly what it was. And I think they're trying to do that here, so I like that. It looks, just the material in general looks a little more different than the Superman costume we're used to. I really like that. The cape, I think, it's definitely bigger than the Brandon Routh cape, and I think even bigger than the Christopher Reeve cape as well. It almost looks like he could wrap it around himself. It almost reminds me of one of the Spartan capes, actually, from 300, ironically enough, also a Zack Snyder directed film. Or maybe a sort of a cape that Frank Miller might draw on a comic book. It's just really, really big. I almost wonder, is that going to look silly when he's flying and he's got this big, giant red curtain kind of flowing behind him? So the cape, I was a little surprised by how big it was. I guess one of the bigger questions and one of the bigger problems when you're adapting a Superman costume is the infamous red underwear. And I was always, I was thinking, are they actually going to try to do the red underwear again? Like that's one thing. I think even a lot of diehard Superman fans might even agree on that. Yeah, that's one aspect they can just go ahead and ditch. And I think they were choosing to not quite reveal that yet. If you look, you really can't tell. Conveniently enough, there's a very heavy shadow right there. I showed this to my brother, and he joked maybe it'll be like that for the whole movie. Maybe that's their solution, to just always have his crotch be in shadow, so you don't really know. Just joking, of course. But as best as we can tell, I think it looks like they are not doing the red underwear, and Zack Snyder is just sort of maybe wants to give fans a chance to get used to the overall look before he reveals the fact that, yes, we've changed the beloved red underwear. I personally would be happy about that. I'm glad that they've done away with the S shield. And in Superman Returns, they had an S shield on his belt, and I didn't like that. It looked a little weird having two Superman logos on the front. His hairstyle it's definitely a little different from the iconic Superman hairstyle. It's definitely kind of a different look for Superman. I really like it. I think it'll look good when he's in flight. I like the overall intensity of this picture. I guess the one thing you have to keep in mind, though, is that it's clearly been very desaturated. If you just look at Henry Cavill's face, you can tell it's almost black. It's desaturated almost to the point of being black and white. I wonder if that might be a part of the look of the film to an extent. I think they're really trying to sell you on a different tone for Superman, not the happy-go-lucky, Boy Scout kind of thing that we can expect something maybe a little darker, more serious, more intense. And I, for one, am really looking forward to a new take on Superman. I think he's long overdue, kind of reinvigorated and reinvented. Obviously, try to stay true to who the character's always been. This is what Chris Nolan did with Batman, staying true to what we've always loved about Batman, but just kind of reinvigorating him and putting a fresh take on it. That's what I want to see with Superman. Superman Returns, well, I didn't hate Superman Returns nearly as much as most people did. I kind of went into it going, oh, they can't change Superman. They got to leave it the same. And there's just so much nostalgia in that movie and so many references to the original film. I kind of walked out of it going, okay, I want to see a Superman film where it's all different. That would make me feel a lot better at this point. So this is not the total reinvention of the Superman costume I was kind of hoping for. But there's all these details. I do find it kind of encouraging. I like the overall direction of it's kind of like what they're doing with it. Ultimately, though, you have to wait till you see some more pictures, or probably even see it, some finished shots. See how it looks when he's flying. See how it looks with the lighting and the look that Snyder has selected. And I'm just really looking forward to see. And I don't know if Zack Snyder is going to screw this up or not. Zack Snyder for me has been a little bit hit and miss with his past movies, but I'm just really looking forward to seeing a new take on Superman.